I wanted to come live today to talk about appearance. Let me see if I can edit this video. Usually you can add like a title to it. Whatever. So today I wanted to talk about the physical appearance and how I feel like it's so important in this society. I have been worrying about my physical appearance for a very long time. I can only speak as a female in the society, but I'm sure it relates to any gender, and however you identify, I'm sure you can relate to this. But I remember with my mom, it wasn't so important. I remember she would say, like, she's a fat piece of shit all the time. That's what she would say. And I would be like, no, you're not. Like, no, you're not. But still, the self-deprecating comments did come from her. But she didn't really make me feel insecure about the way that I looked. She made me feel beautiful. But my dad and my stepmom, that's like kind of another story. So my dad has been in relationships ever since he broke up with my mom when I was like 2. And he was always with these girls, and the girls would stay the same age, but he would just keep getting older. And it would be like, on to the next one, on to the next one. And then we have my stepmom, who was actually like 25. I'm 26 now. She was 25 when I was 13 or 14. And it was so important. Looks were just so important to both of them. And I know my stepmom is from LA, and I think they have a different culture, and it's especially, physical appearance is especially a thing over there. And it was just so important. I remember my stepmom every single morning would get up, do her hair, do full makeup, and she looked absolutely gorgeous every single morning, and it seemed effortless. And my dad, he looks young, and everybody would always be like, are you and him like brother and sister? And he'd be like, no, we're not. He's my dad. And it's just, looks are just such an important factor for them. And then when I was younger, I didn't really have a complex about my looks until Hey Jordan. I'm talking about physical appearance and how I feel physical appearance is really important in this society. And then I started feeling ugly in 7th or 8th grade when this girl called me ugly. And we were in Spanish class, and she called me feo, which is wrong. You'd say fea because I'm a girl. But she called me ugly, and that was kind of when I started believing it. And then I started to grow this kind of complex, and I was like, oh yeah, I am ugly because I have these glasses, and I also wore braces until I was in senior year, and I was always very insecure about the way that I looked, especially because it's so important here. It's so important. And I would even, and then that kind of spiraled into my partners. I mean, I haven't always dated for looks. I resonate more with who the person is on the inside, especially now. But I think for a period, I definitely fell into that. And I would even date people for the wrong reasons, and I would date them because they were attractive. It didn't mean that I was necessarily like the biggest fan of their personality, which is like, that's shitty to use someone as kind of this object. And I think that's exactly what judging someone by their physical appearance, I think that's exactly what it does, is that it's objectifying and it's demeaning when it's someone's sole identity is based on what their outer shell looks like, which I really feel bad about for, being on that end and kind of waking up to that and realizing how much I really did think that looks were very important. Trying to go kind of in order here. There's Gizmo. So basically where this is coming from is I was journaling a lot in my journal yesterday. And a dream, usually what happens is like I have these dreams and then they spark something within me, and that's what I journal about. And in my dream yesterday, I had this memory that was sparked that I remember, and I honestly don't even know if this is 100% true, but I remember my stepmom's mom, who only really speaks Spanish. And I've taken Spanish for many years, so I try to keep up, but it's not always easy. And I would just remember a couple of instances where she said gordita or gorda, which is like chubby, when I would kind of walk in the room. And I definitely was a little bigger around that time. Not that there's anything wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But now, because I suppress that, I'm also realizing that like the more tools I have in my tool belt, the more experience I have, the more I'm able to tackle those layers that I've been suppressing. And I think that's one of those layers that I've just kept deep down. And I just didn't have the tools to deal with it at the time. And kind of thinking about how like that made me feel, and how I'm very protective of my younger self as well, kind of like a parent, And it's not nice to be called that, especially behind your back, if it's true, even if it's in another language. It's still the intention behind it. And I know that that's not personal, because I'm sure that's probably what has been passed down through those generations, right? So that's kind of what sparked it in me. And then I was starting to really look at even my own relationship. And honestly, I've been feeling more and more detached to my physical shell, to my physical appearance, more and more. And I'm kind of realizing that what you're seeing right now, is just a shell. This is not who I am. Who I am is in here. And maybe it's because I am more so conventionally attractive in the society that I don't fucking worry about it and I don't think about it. I don't know. I'm kind of like, there's not much I can control of my physical appearance. I can't control this. Yeah, I can control dyeing my hair and getting tattoos, but beyond that, it's pretty much out of my control. And I don't want to be noticed for things that are beyond my control. I want to be noticed for things that I really work hard at. And I've noticed, even my own partner saying to me, like, and I know that previous me needed this. Cameron and I have been together for almost 6 years and have been growing and evolving for 6 years together. And it's a long time. It's a lot of time. We were so young when we first met and started dating, and I was very insecure, and I really needed that stuff. I really needed him to tell me how I looked. Do I look good enough? Do I look pretty enough? Because it was so important. But now I'm kind of realizing, like, and I heard him say the other day, "You're so kind." And I'm like, whoa, I've never heard you say that. And I remember hearing him say, like, "You're confident." I'm like, you've never told me that before. Ever. Usually what I hear is, like, "You're hot. You're sexy." And that's usually when I don't even try to be, and I'm not even trying. It's usually when I'm just in the comfort of my own home, just trying to change my clothes. You know? If I have to change my shirt, you're gonna see my boobs, and it's not in a sexual context. It's just me trying to change my clothes. And honestly, when I feel, it kind of makes me feel like an object. Even from my own partner, it kind of makes me feel like an object. It kind of makes me feel like this trophy, this, like, only my looks matter, because he literally doesn't compliment me on anything else but my looks. And it's like, do you not see anything else? Is that all you see? You know? And, you know, there was a lot of miscommunication that we've been having. And a lot of that got cleared up yesterday. And I understand where those comments are coming from, but it's not necessarily what I want to hear. Especially, like, on Instagram, I get a lot of comments and DMs like, "Oh my gosh, you're so pretty, you're so sexy, you're so hot." And it's like, to be honest, to be receiving compliments based on my physical appearance is probably the biggest turnoff for me in the whole world. Because it's like, is that really all you see? All you see is just what I look like on the outside? That's all I'm good enough for you for? And I was thinking about, like, the porn industry. And how it's so normal to be watching porn. Not that I'm shaming anybody who watches porn. I used to watch porn. I don't really watch porn anymore because it's just so focused on the physical. You know, it's not like there is any... I'm more of an emotional, vulnerable, intimate kind of person. You know, what's really hot and sexy and gets me horny is intimate and vulnerable connection. Emotional connection. Doesn't fucking matter what you look like. It matters, like, what is in here. But when humans are watching porn, it's kind of like instant gratification. And they're like, "Oh, this person's really hot." And they're, to be honest, fantasizing about things that aren't really realistic. This is being shot in front of a camera. This is being recorded. This is premeditated. This is organized, arranged, produced. This isn't real. And I think that has a big part of, like, why physical appearance is so important. Living up to these unrealistic standards that are in porn, in the industry. And I don't know, to me, that's not hot or sexy or anything. So it's funny because Cameron and I, for a very long time, have been speaking these two different languages. I think he has wanted me to kind of reflect to him that he is attractive, which is kind of what he was doing for me. You know, he's projecting his needs and wants onto me. He was wanting to get closer with me intimately by saying, "You're hot, you're sexy." I mean, also, like, what do those porn people say to each other? Porn people. You know? But to be honest, because I don't really resonate with, like, I love my body. I love my body. I've learned to love my body. But I'm realizing that it's just a shell. It's just a shell. And what is really meaningful is in here. So to be denounced and to be only seen for my shell is not to see me as a human, it's to see me as an object. So when those compliments are happening, he's really trying to pull me in to have that intimate connection. But for me, when I hear those words, it's like a turnoff. Because it's like, maybe you only see me for this physical way, but I see you for so much more, and that's what I want to be connecting on. And that's what makes me want to be intimate with someone, you know? So that's how I was interpreting it, right? Was he was only complimenting me on my outside physical appearance. But in his mind, he was like, well, you know, when I say those things, it's kind of like the whole package type of deal. Like, your everything is hot and sexy, and maybe that's, you know, maybe not the best words to use, but he was meaning it in a different way, and I think that that's where a lot of miscommunication can come from. And I've also, I don't know if other women or humans experience this, is I don't have that high of a sex drive. And that could be because not everything is aligned at the moment. It could be it's just not the right time. Could be that I'm feeling that internal pressure. And also would feel the pressure, to be honest. In the back of my mind, my mom said this, and it really has probably impacted me more than I can understand, is that she and I were in the Wendy's parking lot, and I was, at the time, I think a senior in high school, and I was dating my boyfriend, and we were dating for 2 years, and I still did not have sex with him. I waited until I was 18, and at this point, I did not have sex with him, and my mom was like, you know, he's gonna break up with you if you don't have sex with him, right? And ever since she told me that, I was very aware of how inappropriate that was. And it didn't convince me otherwise. I didn't fall pressure to her and do what she said, probably because I didn't do a lot of things that my mom said. But still have been feeling this internal pressure, this internal voice, that if I don't have sex with my boyfriend, he's gonna break up with me. And that's kind of been probably adding to the pressure. Cameron and I, this is like probably TMI, and I hope he's okay with this. We haven't been intimate in a very long time. Not that that's like a bad thing. It's personally not something that I need in a relationship. Maybe that's probably more important to him. But I'm also not going to feel that pressure to do anything that I don't feel like doing. If the emotional connection isn't there, I'm not going to do things out of obligation. I don't want to, and that would probably be adding to the resistance that I already feel. But there's just such a pressure to look this perfect way, and just physical appearance, and what I can do for you. And you know, the fact that boys think that they can just message me and comment on my messages, on my posts, and be like, you're really hot and sexy, and think that I like that, like, and think that anybody would really like that. I mean, maybe people do. But I'm kind of turning a corner and turning a leaf that the physical appearance is literally has nothing to do with who we are at all. This is just a physical shell. What you're seeing in this live right now is a physical shell of me. This isn't who I am. This body is going to die. But my soul will live on, and my soul doesn't look like this. This is just like the skin that I've been born into. This has nothing to do with who I am. And to be denounced and demeaned to just my physical appearance, it's not seeing the whole picture, and it's to be treated like an object. So, if you're watching this, I mean, and also maybe not everybody has the same idea and opinion as I do. I definitely think that I'm choosing something different than what we have been taught. I mean, I remember seeing those tacky, like, Global Inquirer shitty magazines on the stands and being like, oh, look at Britney Spears in a bikini. Look at her now. Like, oh, God. And it's like, that's seriously what y'all think is the most important? Is what we can't control and what is on the outside? Hey, Jose. You know, it's not about that. It's not about what we look like on the inside. It's about what's in here. And if people, I think because physical appearance is at the top of the list for a lot of people, I don't want to say a lot of people, for people, for people. Happy Monday. If physical appearance is at the top of the list for many people, a lot of other things fade away. A lot of other things are less important. Like integrity, compassion, empathy, love, kindness. All of those things fade away because physical appearance is most important. But it's not what's most important. What we forget about is when we put physical appearance as the most important thing, the actual most important things are underneath that. This is just a shell. My physical body is just a shell. My kitty, my fluffy kitty who's right here. Let me see if I can switch it around. You see that? That's not who he is. He's just a shell. The exterior, yeah, it's what you see, right? The appearance, the exterior, the outer appearance is exactly what you see. But there's so much more that you cannot see. And it's not the most important thing. Yeah, maybe it's easier for me to say that because I feel the most confident I've ever felt. Maybe because I am one of the skinniest I've ever been. This time in my life, I am probably at the skinniest I've ever been, and not necessarily in the most healthy way. I don't have an eating disorder in my awareness. Sorry, trigger warning. But it's like, yeah, maybe I'm the most conventionally attractive I've ever been. And maybe it's easy for me to say. But it's not because I'm trying to be. You know, I'm just trying to take care of myself as best as I can. And this is just what I end up with. But it's not what I try so hard to be at. You know, there's so much more underneath this layer that you see that I work really hard. I work really hard at doing a lot of internal stuff, internal things that you can't see. The reason, you know, I am able to show up on here and be brave and have the courage to go live is because I've done a lot of internal work, things that you can't see. That hard work. I have really been working on my confidence and really rebuilding self-trust and trying and being the nicest I've ever been to myself, and thus being nice and seeing everybody as love just as I am. You know, there's so much more underneath this layer that you physically see that is actually way more important. But I think it's easy to forget. Especially, I mean, as humans, we are... My cat's trying to hunt something down. As humans, we are programmed to judge people as soon as we see them. For survival purposes and all of that. But beyond that first judgment, I'm trying to think of the word, but I don't think it's going to come to me. Beyond that first judgment of someone, it's like, okay, remembering that they're also a human. It's not just the outer appearance. They're not just their outer appearance. It's so much deeper than that. And I think that as a society who does judge other people based on their outer shell, it's only skin deep. It's, to me, kind of shallow. Love you in a loving way. I think it's shallow. I think it's vain, and I think it's not encompassing what's actually important. And all of those other things that I listed, they're being tossed out the window. And in my opinion, I think the most important thing to me is integrity. I put integrity on top of everything else. That's why I didn't brush my hair to go live. Like, I literally got out of bed and looking like this. I'm wearing my tank top. I'm wearing my partner's boxers. I'm on my period, so I'm just trying to be comfy. I'm not trying to impress anybody else. I'm just trying to be myself. And there is something, I do have a lot of fun with, like, fashion and wearing different things and wearing things that do feel like me. But it's not necessarily to impress anybody else. It's to feel good about myself. Like, when I wear something that is, like, colorful and bright and feels like me, it feels like Lizzie, it feels good. It just feels better. It's not because I'm worried about what other people think that I look like. I just want to feel good about myself, and I want to feel good in me. And that's sometimes how I do that, is by wearing things that I like. I just wanted to come on and say that there is so much more to us, to humans, than just dwindling it down to the physical appearance. There's so much more that is important. It's probably the least important thing, to be honest. I think I've been thinking about this ugly duckling syndrome, which, I mean, I know it's a thing, and I don't really know what the textbook definition of it is, but it's like just not feeling good about yourself, not feeling good and not feeling pretty. And for a very long time, I felt that way. For most of my life, I felt not good enough. I felt ugly. I felt just not attractive to anybody. And because I felt that way, I was so determined to feel good and find that validation within other people. And that was my one and only goal. It honestly didn't even matter much else than, oh, if you like me, then I like you too, you know. And yeah, not the best. And not for the right reasons either. I didn't like people, and I didn't necessarily date people for the right reasons. And I've definitely, that's why I'm not judging anybody, because I accept this part of me, is that I've definitely judged people for the way that they looked. Because I've done that to myself, and people have done that to me. But I wanna just kind of rewrite that story for myself and be like, okay, I understand that my first impression of this person is based on survival instincts and things that were passed down to me. But I'm going to be in awareness of that and keep an open mind and open heart and try to actually get to know this person for who they are and not what they look like. Because if I'm only looking for a connection that's skin deep, that's as deep as our connection is gonna go. Is skin deep, and what I look like for you and what you look like for me, and kind of like parading someone else around like a trophy. Like, look at what I've got. I feel like in this society, attraction and the way that we look physically is like similar to, it's kind of equal to our level of power, of class, of status, of control. That's how, like, people who are conventionally attractive are very powerful beings. You know, like the Kardashians, conventionally attractive, right? Naturally, I don't know. I still love them. I love everybody. And they do have a lot of power, and they have a lot of control, and everybody puts these people who are attractive on these pedestals of like, they're way better than us, and it's like, no, they're not. No, they are not. I refuse to think that Kim, Courtney, Chloe, even Paris Hilton, hey friend, I refuse to think that anybody is better than me, and I refuse to think that I'm better than anybody else. We're all equal. This is just purely our meat suit. We all have a meat suit, and this is my meat suit, and that's your meat suit, and it's what we were born in. It has nothing to do with who we are. This is just what it is. I mean, maybe my tattoos and the way that I do express myself is about me, but beyond that, like, I don't have much control, and I think that it's the more important things are below the surface. And I used to, when I would put physical attractiveness up here, right, I would sell out for everything else. For integrity, for compassion, for empathy, for just being love and loving all humans. I would sell out for all those things to try to achieve this, because I thought it was the most important thing. But I think because I'm placing integrity at the top, I'm not going to sell out on the things that actually fucking matter. My words, I want to walk the walk. I would like to walk the walk. I would like to be a voice. I would like to match my actions with my words. Because for so long, the sun keeps creeping in on me. For so long, I have just believed exactly what I saw. I would look at someone and be like, okay, that's who you are. You are your outer appearance. I would take people's words for what they were. I didn't really connect that anybody can say any series of words. Anybody can say any series of words. Whether they align their actions to those words is another thing. Because I believed a lot of people's words, because I thought a lot of other people did have integrity. And I like to hope that they do. But I think that when humans place certain things as more important than integrity, then that stuff kind of falls by the wayside. And that's kind of what we're seeing in, like, politics. I feel like a lot of politics, senators, governors, all of those people, they are in it for the power. Not everybody, maybe, but it would be nice if everybody was in it for the integrity. Because there would actually be integrity in the system, and there would be integrity in, like, this society. I think people can be quick to blame individual people, like Trump, for instance. But he and everybody is just a byproduct of this society and what we actually value. Like when Trump says grab him by the pussy and is very, you know, it just seems like what women are just objects to him and people like him. And it's like, what can you do for me kind of energy. when it's like, well, you're in a place of power. What are you going to do to help all of us? How can you like show that you have some integrity and that your words really mean something and that your actions align with those words? But I think that this mask, it can be really easy to judge something based on what something looks like, because it's what you see. But it's really what you don't see that matters the most. It really is. But first impressions can definitely like cloud that. Judgments, preconceived judgments, all of that. Insecurities, our personal insecurities. I know that I project my insecurities onto other people. And I know that's what people have done to me. Any mean thing that anybody has ever said to you has been a lie, because it's an insecurity that was passed down to them. And it's this continuing cycle. And this is what we're doing. We're in this cycle. Hey, Kristen. I'm not wearing it, but I bought a couple of your bracelets the other day. It's so important what's on the inside. And when we are so focused on the outside, we forget what's really important. So I ask you to look beneath the layer. Look beneath that first layer, that first impression, and try to see who people are versus what they look like. Because to be honest, what you see is exactly like it doesn't matter. The outside doesn't matter. Hi, friend. This was kind of a little bit all over the place. But I wanted to share. Especially because I don't see this perspective a lot. It's like even this guy, okay? This is my kitty, and for a long time I'd be like, he's too cute that I can't just pet him and snuggle him and love him all that I want, you know? But he's not just his physical shell. He's like, underneath this physical shell, he's like the silliest little kitty, and he tries to get into all this mischief, and he's like the biggest child ever. Like, he just wants to play, and he likes chasing reflections, and he's such a loving kitty, but he doesn't like his boundaries crossed. Don't fucking pet him when he doesn't want to be pet, that kind of thing. And I'm resonating a lot with that. Like, to me, a compliment, it's not... The compliments that I want to receive are not skin deep or not like the skin. Not based on my physical appearance. The compliments I want to be known for is like, wow, Lizzie, this is what I want to be known for. Someone who goes out of their way to fucking make other people feel special and good about themselves. I want to be known for being this bright light who is unapologetically herself after all the shit that she's gone through. And someone who is vulnerable and not afraid to share their heart and helps other humans feel less alone on their journey. Like, that's the type of shit I want to be known for. Yes, queen. Yes. Everything else, it doesn't fucking matter. Wow, she was really pretty. She had these really gorgeous eyes and a really beautiful smile. Yeah. But what about here? This is what I want to be known for, is what's in my heart. And wanting to make this world a more peaceful and beautiful place. And someone who's generous, someone who's giving, someone who shows other humans that they ought to put themselves first, because everything else is going to follow. Someone who shows other people how to set healthy boundaries so that they can have a healthy relationship and have healthy relationships and know that they don't deserve mistreatment. Someone who shows others that they don't have to put up with the bullshit of other people. Not that it's necessary. I mean, I don't want to say it like that in an insensitive way, but like someone who doesn't, someone who just stands up for themselves and has integrity and practices what they preach, type of thing. That's what I want to be known for. And I think that's what's most important. That's what I wanted to share today. All over the place. But if you're watching the live, I highly recommend watching the replay. If you're watching the replay, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if any of this resonates with you in the comments below. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Sending you love, friends.